My name is Danny. Thank you for having me, and I just hope your day has started in a good way. And even if it hasn't, then maybe I can add some joy and some spark and maybe a new recipe towards your day. So I have a real passionate relationship to food, and I find cooking and preparing food and eating really nutritious food had huge healing benefits to me and my past and my story. And not only from a nutrient level, but also from food makes me feel good level. And even if that is that chocolate bar, that is okay. I feel all foods are equal. I really don't believe we should punish ourselves for not eating certain foods and eating more foods. And I think I'm always just ever so grateful I have access to all these foods out there anyway. Saying that though, I also believe that I'd like to pack every one of my meals with a really nutrient dense meal, because then I know I'm fueling my body with something really good for it. And that is something I want to share with you today. A recipe that is really nutritious but also really tasty, so we're not missing out on any level at all. You can make this in much less than 9.2 minutes, and I'm going to show you how. It doesn't need any baking. We're going to make my chocolate coconut squares, and they just need to set in the fridge for a little bit before you can tuck into them. Before I show you the recipe, and you've got a couple of versions of how to make that recipe, I wanted to tap on another passion of mine, and that is yoga. I practice yoga, I teach yoga, but also the mindfulness aspect that comes with a yoga practice for me. And that is also being mindful of what I eat. So if I take yoga off the mat and into my everyday life, into my kitchen, onto my dinner table, I want to be mindful of how I eat. It is who I eat with, a family dinner. The chats shared over lunch, over dinner, over breakfast are as important to what is on our plate, I think. There's always a secret ingredient. The children now roll their eyes at me and my husband when we added the secret ingredient in all of our recipes is a good portion of love. That is really important. And I think being mindful of how we eat, how it tastes when we first bring the food into our mouth, how the taste lingers after we've long swallowed. These are really important attributes that keep anchoring me in the present moment. And that is something I have really struggled with over the years. My mind either raced into the future, and that brought on anxiety. I was so worried of what could happen next, or I was dwelling on things in the past. And my mind and my thoughts went back to old beliefs and stuff that has happened, and I couldn't quite shake it. So I was torn between this future and this past, and never really in the present moment. But the mindfulness from my yoga practice has taught me that, and I love bringing that into my eating and how we eat as a family. So when you prepare your chocolate coconut bars, be mindful how do the ingredients feel in your hand. You know, instead of using a spoon to mix it all up, wash your hands and get your hands in. Feel the texture. Notice what happens. And I think that is a really lovely way of becoming mindful and breaking state. And it could be so relaxing that just for a few moments, a few minutes in your day, you're not racing, your mind isn't racing into the future or into your past. So enough talking, I'm going to show you the ingredients. It all goes bish bash bosh into one bowl. You can either mix it or put it in your food processor, and then we're going to bring it into a dish lined with baking paper, and that just sets in the freezer or fridge until you are ready to cut into squares. I'll show you how. So there are a couple of ways of how you can bring your ingredients together. We've got our sticky ingredients, which is the coconut. I'm using honey today, but you can use maple syrup or agave as well. We have something that sticks, so this will bring our mixture together. And then we have our oats and the chopped nuts and coconut and the cacao to bind it all. However, if you don't have a food processor and you just want to mix it into a bowl, you might want to take oats that are a little bit, oh, can you see? oats that are a little bit smaller than my oats, okay? Otherwise the texture is a bit rough. And you might not be able to use the dates because that's really hard work to chop them up. But if you want, take a sharp knife and chop these up into tiny pieces. Otherwise you might need a bit more of the maple syrup to make your mixture stick. But let me show you how I go through this step by step. So we've mixed all of this together, and before we do anything else, I want you to taste it. What you want is for this to stick together. So if you think your mixture is a little bit too dry, add a tiny dash of water, and I want you to taste it. Because this needs to taste lovely for you. So if you think it's a bit too sweet, you can add some more dates and maybe a bit more coconut oil. Mine tastes lovely. It's very sweet, but I've got the sharpness there from the raw cacao powder. So in my world, I'm good to go. For you, you could adjust and maybe add a little bit here or there. You don't want it too runny, obviously, and you don't want it too dry. You don't want it to crumble. You want to be able, if you pull it into your fingers, to form it into a little ball. And again, this is where the mindfulness comes in again. So really play and enjoy and taste and make the making as important as the eating. Okay, so in my house the sun has come out. I don't know, can you see the lovely shadows? And I'm going to bring my mixture over, and we're going to transfer it into a baking dish or any dish that you have that you can stick into the freezer, and we'll transfer the mixture onto some greaseproof paper here. Just plop it all in. Well done. And then you can spend some time with a big spoon or a spatula of pressing it all down, pressing it into your dish here. So yet more sunshine has come through. I have had my squares in the freezer for about 10 minutes, but you can pop them in the fridge and keep them there. So let me show you what they look like when they come out. Hold up. I'll be back. There you go. So they've frozen or set, as we'd like to say, into a nice big square. If you can see, I'm going to tilt the camera and we're going to cut into it, and then really enjoy. It looks so nice. I've topped it with coconut on that side, and I've topped it with a few more of the ground almonds on the other side. So this is it really. These are our lovely chocolate and coconut squares. I've got more sunshine in the kitchen. I love these. I keep them in a Tupperware in the fridge, and they will last you for a good week. And I hope you enjoy playing with the ingredients. I will hope you enjoy making these lovely stacks. They're so nice. And maybe you enjoy sharing them with someone else just as much as I enjoyed sharing this recipe with you. I'm now going to make a cup of tea for myself and tuck into one of those mindfully. Wishing you a wonderful day and a good rest of your January. All the best.